you saying, in effect, it's their job to do the bidding of the government?
Their job is to work within the framework of policy, subject, of course, to not breaking the law.
So is it their job to do the bidding of government as long as it's legal?
In my view, it is. In my view, it is. In my view, it is.
There can be no doubt that in 2005, the Australian government took the political decision to protect a political relationship at the terrible expense of Schapelle Corby. As with all government policies, all the organs of state were deployed to support it and were lined up directly against her. The effects on her have been devastating. Even though we have presented only a partial list, the scale of government activity against Schapelle Corby is staggering. It is also important to understand that when a government sets the tone and agenda for an issue, the establishment and large commercial interests within that nation invariably adopt a supportive position. Schapelle Corby and her family have not only had to endure a terrible ordeal in Indonesia, but the vilification and hostility of a second state. This shocking truth is finally starting to emerge, but with Schapelle Corby now suffering serious health issues, it may well come too late to save her life.
Well, if you're the kind that feels unsure, why not sit alone and let the dingo call? Your memories of a wrongful conviction from years before. Injustice takes away destination paradise. There's an Aussie girl doing time. A part of the crime. Injustice takes away destination paradise.
The moment people stop standing up to injustice, then it's all over. We might as well just, crawl back into the slime from whence we emerged.
"2007 saw a change of government in Australia. But there was no change of policy priority. The new government has apparently abandoned her too.
So it's all to see the result, down under and ours, and so can be right. Now we've got a cause. Do you know Schapelle Corby? Well, she's from us too. Johnny Howard was a coward.
The Corbys say they've lost patience with Kevin Rudd. They say when he was opposition leader, he promised to do everything he could to further Schapelle's cause. Now that he's Prime Minister, they say their letters go unanswered. In Bali, Mark Burrows, 9 News.
Late in 2009, Schapelle Corby was declared mentally ill by one of Australia's most eminent psychiatrists, who stated clearly that she would die unless she was released.
Dr. Jonathan Phillips, former president of the Psychiatrists Guild of Australia and New Zealand.
She is now helpless, hopeless, she feels useless, she feels alienated, she feels removed from the rest of humanity. She is in a situation where she could easily move forward to kill herself.
She should be moved to a special hospital like the mental hospital.
Why?
Because she's mentally sick.
Yet incredibly, she remains there, in conditions barely imaginable.
For nearly a week she's been treated for depression. The doctor wants her to be transferred to a psychiatric hospital because he says her mental state is so bad.
Schapelle Corby is suffering prolonged mental torture, and for her to be kept in the place that's caused it is beyond cruelty. Her life is in serious danger.
When I saw her, I was shocked. She looked much older, and she did look ill, and certainly nothing what I was expecting. Those questions, I knew straight away that something's not right, that she's a sick person. She gets bullied, she gets treated like no other prisoner in there. There was something like 800 and she gets treatment like no other prisoner there. She definitely gets treatment that's meted out to her. Other Indonesian prisoners following her, or somebody shouting out her name, or the media tracking her, and she never gets any peace, and it's any wonder she survived as long as she does. Whatever, the media would get in, and as soon as they were in there, it'd be, let's go for Corby. They weren't in there for the other reasons at all. They were in there solely to harass Schapelle Corby and get pictures of her and sell to the media back in Australia. The women's prison block is more dilapidated than the men's. It's more overcrowded, and she's stuck in with prisoners with 5 or 6 other prisoners, and I know she was getting harassed by other prisoners in her own cell. So for her, the torment never ends. It's 24 hours a day. I think she'll die for sure. In fact, I'm surprised she's even lasted this long now since I got released.
2 months ago, just days before her 34th birthday, Schapelle Corby broke into a prison drugs cabinet and consumed everything inside. Her first drugs overdose. Her family praying. Corby spent 2 days on the floor of her cell, her inmates afraid to raise the alarm. No doctors, no hospital. By the end of the week, her condition had worsened. She'd taken a week's worth of her own prescription antipsychotic drugs, meant to be guarded and administered by a trusted cellmate. 2 years ago, Schapelle was diagnosed as insane, depressed, psychotic and at risk.
He clearly is looking at death as in many ways a preferable option.
She is dying a slow, torturous death in squalor, devoid of human rights, and ignored by governments.
I don't know how long I can survive in here.